Hello! Welcome to another set of equations. We're going to see two special types of equation. Let's check what is special about them. The first equation is negative x added to 3 equals 15. As you may notice, now we have a negative x. Remember, we want to isolate the x. Adding 3 is what we don't want in here. So the first step is exactly the same as we had done before. So we're gonna minus 3 in both sides of my equation. If we do so, they're gonna cross it out and we're gonna have minus x left equals, and let's count here as well, 15 minus 3 is 12. We're interested to know what is x, not negative x. So the opposite of a negative x is x. And that's what we're gonna be using as our definition. So we're gonna find out what is the opposite of both sides of my equation. The opposite of negative x is x, and the opposite of a positive 12 is negative 12. And that is my answer. X is negative 12. The same idea we're going to apply in the next exercise. We also have here a negative variable, negative y. So let's apply the same idea. Let's get rid of 45 by doing minus 45 in both sides of my equation. Add a little plus in there to not mix the numbers up. Subtracting 45 and adding 45, they cross it out, they cancel. We're going to have left negative y equals negative 10. Then we just need to apply the definition of opposite in both sides. So the opposite of a negative variable is the positive variable, and the opposite of negative 10 will be positive 10. Basically, we're just changing all the signs in my equation. Whatever is positive becomes negative, whatever is negative becomes positive. Always the opposite. Let's continue. 2 minus z is equal to negative 6. Let's minus 2 in both sides, equal sign under equal, positive 2 and minus 2 cancel it out. We got left with negative z equals 2. Pay attention with negative signs in here. We have negative 6 units, and then we have another negative 2 units. In total, we have minus 8 negative units. Opposite in both sides, the opposite of both sides of my equation gonna give us z equals to positive 8. Next, negative 4, one term, and then we have another term, negative a equals to 27. Negative 4 is the same as subtracting 4. The opposite of subtracting 4 gonna be adding 4 in both sides of my equation. Minus 4 and plus 4 cancel it out. We have negative a equals 31. Now we're adding 27 units, positive units, and another 4 positive units. We got 31 units, but we don't want negative a. Let's apply opposite in both sides of my equation. That gave us a equals negative 31. Moving on, negative f minus 6 is equal to negative 20. The opposite of subtracting 6 is adding 6. Let's add 6 in both sides of my equation. Negative 6 and positive 6 cancel it out. They become 0. Nothing's left. Only the variable term equals to negative 14. The only thing left to do, opposite in both sides. We got f equals 14, positive 14. If it's a positive number, you don't necessarily need to add the sign, but if you want, no harm in here. The next equation looks a bit more difficult than actually it is. Always simplify when it looks a little complicated. And I see in here, this part, this is the concept of opposite. The opposite of a negative j is j. Or you can think of the multiplication rule, negative times a negative becomes positive. So the right hand side is 23 plus g if you simplify. The other side, nothing changed. What is left to do is to remove 23 in both sides. So minus 23 and minus 23. 23 and minus 23 cancel it out is 0. The right hand side is only j, and the left hand side just calculate 23 negative tiles and another 7 negative tiles. Altogether now we're gonna have 30 negative tiles. So my final answer G is negative 30. Let's move it on. The next set of equation also look a little bit complicated because we're dividing by a variable. We don't know what is a variable. In this kind of examples, we always assume the variable to be not 0 since we cannot divide by 0. So if you divide by a number, the inverse operation is multiplying by that number. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing here. But we don't know the number. We're only going to multiply by a variable. In that case, we're going to multiply by x in both sides of my equation. Even though I don't know what is the x, we still can cross them out. So x divided by x, or any amount divided by the same amount. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 3 divided by 3 is 1, 4 divided by 4 is 1. So x divided by x will still be 1. So they cancel it out in the side of my equation. We have 15 left in one side and the other side 3x. And if you look exactly now, we have an equation that we know how to solve. 15 equals 3 times x. 3 times x. To isolate x, to get x alone, we need to undo the 3. So by 3 times, we're going to divide by 3. So let's divide this side by 3. Let's divide the other side by 3. That is our inverse operation. Equals under the equal. And we have the 3 divided by 3 is 1, or only x in this side of my equation. And then the other side, 15 divided by 3 is 5. X is 5. I hope you understood this idea because we're gonna carry on exactly the same. If I divide by a variable, even if we don't know, we can multiply both sides by the same variable. And that's what we're gonna be doing. Next equation, 63 divided by y equals 9. Divide by something we don't know. Let's multiply by something that we don't know. If you multiply and divide by y, they cross it out, they cancel it out. We're gonna have here 63 equals 9 times y. Then we're gonna divide both sides by 9. Let's cross it out. 9 divided by 9 is 1. So my right hand side is y and the left hand side. So you can think about the multiplication table of 9 and you're gonna get in here 7. Y is 7. Next, in a similar matter, 34 divided by z equals negative 2. If you divide by z, the inverse operation is multiplying by z. So let's multiply by z one side of my equation, multiply by z the other side of my equation, equal sign, z divided by z is 1, same amount divided by the same amount. So we have 34 left. In the other side of my equation, 2, negative 2 times z. Now we're going to divide both sides by negative 2, divide by negative 2, negative 2, divide by negative 2, cancel it out. We have z left. And then in the other side of my equation, a negative number and a positive number, the division is negative. 34 divided by 2 is 17. Next equation, negative 93 divided by b is equal to 31. If you divide by b in both sides, we're gonna multiply by b in both sides. You can already guess that b divided by b, gonna cross it out, equals 93 is left in one side of my equation. The other side we have 31, b, 31 times b. Now we're going to do the inverse operation of multiplying by 31, which is dividing by 31. Equal sign, 31 divided by 31 is 1. So we have b left in one side of my equation. And then on the left-hand side, we need to do a little calculation in here. 31 times what? gonna give us 93, so 31, 62, and then 93. So my answer will be -3. Negative number divided by positive is negative. In the last equation, we have -32 divided by d is equal to -8. Without further ado, we're gonna multiply both sides by d as our little trick. D cancel out with d. We have -32 equals -8. D minus 8 multiplied by d. The inverse operation multiplied by -8 is divided by -8. Both sides equal. A negative number divided by a negative number is positive, so my answer is positive. -8 divided by -8 cancel out is 1, so this side is only d. And the other side, you need to think a little bit a multiplication table of 8. So 8 times 4 makes 32. I hope you understood this special case of equations and the little tricks we have done in here. We assume that our variables is not 0. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and we see you in the two-step equations coming up next.